Hi everyone, it's your Professor Renee Garcia. I want to give you a little overview for this week's topics, genetics and inheritance. So we're in week 3, and so I'm going to go to the start here page, and we'll get some more details. So don't mind the due date range here, 2/4 to 2/13. That will change for every class. So don't mind that, but the topics and the learning objectives are the same. So we're going to start with the lecture, Genetics and Inheritance. Really pay attention to those lectures for this one and for all of them, because these are, this is where you're going to get the majority of your information for the discussions and to answer some of the quizzes too. So these are very core, and they should guide your reading and note-taking with the other assignments as well. The article, Curse and Blessing of the Ghetto, is an article that really discusses how genetics and inheritance affect a modern population. Even though it may not seem like it is an issue that is strictly modern, it is one that goes back some time, is what I'm saying, but it is a modern problem, and this is just one example. So you'll read more about that, and that's regarding the disease Tay-Sachs, which comes up in one of the videos called One Wrong Letter Tay-Sachs. It's a very emotional, it is a very emotional video, and I'm sorry, but it really does stress the importance of understanding genetics and inheritance. So, and it's a relatively short video. DNA, The Secret of Life, is much longer. It's about 30 minutes or so, maybe a bit longer. But the focus time frame is written here, so try to get into that time frame. So look at that, and then the evolution of lactose intolerance is about 15 minutes or so. But all of these include information that you can and should include in your discussion post, and I'll look at that discussion prompt with you in a minute. Okay, the learning objectives are to understand that every organism inherits a unique combination of traits. Now that means that, for example, between my sister and I, she has the phenotype of an indigenous person, and I have a bit more European traits. We both have the same mother and father. My mother has some more European traits from her father's side, but ultimately, when I had my DNA assessed through Ancestry.com recently, it showed that I am actually about 45% what we would consider Mexican or indigenous Native American or Native Central American population, and 35% European. In my sister, that combination could be different, and it could demonstrate more of her indigenous traits from our ancestors. So the combinations are different. Students will understand that DNA is a set of instructions that species the traits of an organism. I'm going to rephrase that. There are also variations in DNA that can lead to inheritance of different traits, and that's very similar to the first one, but you'll see how those work out. Okay, let me go to the discussion prompt, because I want to show you that particularly. So for this one, we're talking about the genetics and heredity. And heredity is basically the same idea as inheritance. And this question is very specific. How does the genetics of human behavior influence our society, even our lives and choices? And the example I want you to think about, there are a few of them, but once you read the article, Curse and Blessing of the Ghetto, and you watch the Tay-Sachs video, you'll understand that what's happening in the Ashkenazi Jewish population is essentially a cultural choice to marry within that same population. And this means that choice is going to perpetuate the problem of Tay-Sachs. So there's nothing that to really change that. That perpetuation will continue because as long as people that are carriers of Tay-Sachs continue to reproduce, their offspring are either going to be carriers themselves or they're going to die of Tay-Sachs. So that's where you can talk about, an influence on the Jewish society and a personal choice. The other examples you can find for yourself that would be good in here if you can come up with an example on your own. That would be great. But of course, if you need some help, come and talk to me during office hours or email me. I would be happy to help. All right.